Manchester United 1, Crystal Palace 0. Fred scored, Ranić won, clean sheet. What a perfect
What more do people want?
Was it
in life?
perfect or was it not perfect? Tell me about it, Alex. What happened?
I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
I think there's very good element. First half in particular was good in terms of pressing and all this. It's what we're going to be talking about for the next 6 to 8 months is how much we press.
I can't wait to use the word press.
Gegenpress and all this and press triggers and all that. But no, I think it was good. I think maybe, I don't know whether we got worse or Palace got a bit better in the second half. I think they made it scrappy. I think they won a lot more second balls and stuff that meant that it wasn't as good in the second half. But you need little bits here and there that go for you to get goals. And obviously Fred today just gets that absolute world that he's done.
He does, and it's with his right foot. It is from
ridiculous.
20 yards out. It is, I mean, the best goal he scored for United, I think, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
It's a fantastic goal. How impressed were you today by Fred? Not just for the goal, but obviously talk about that as well. For me, he was my man of the match. Yeah. I thought he was absolutely excellent today.
He was, without a doubt, man of the match today.
Yeah.
He was absolutely fantastic. When we were just looking off camera at some of the stats that he dropped.
Yeah. I think it's 7 tackles.
7 successful tackles.
Which is bonkers, by the way. Yep. 7 ball wins.
10 duels won him across
duels.
the pitch. That's what it did say, duels.
Duels.
And an absolute worldie.
Yeah.
Is right. If you've not watched it, just go on Twitter and search Fred fucking goal. It was so
Fred
good.
Redemption.
I can't talk.
If you've not watched it, watch it. Is basically what he said there.
Good.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Good. And I personally thought he was very poor against Arsenal. I know he'd had a couple of good games before that. The Villarreal game, I thought he was quite good in. I thought I think it's a Villarreal game, wasn't it? He's looked a bit better. But yeah, I thought it was really poor in that first half against Arsenal. Basically gave them a goal. I know it was an accident, but just a clumsiness. Stepping on your own goalie's ankle is just stupid. But it wasn't that. He gave the ball away a lot. He was, pressing too quickly and then getting dribbled round. Today, we saw the best of Fred. He was collecting the ball when it was in open spaces. He was tackling well. He was pushing really high. He was all over the pitch, literally like covering, I hate the term covering every single blade of grass, but he was just covering other players in other positions. Yeah. He was covering the left winger, he was covering McTominay, he was covering on the right hand side, he was pushing up behind Bruno. I thought it was brilliant today. One of the best games I've seen him play for United because it didn't rely on him being, he's had some great games for us before, but they tended more to rely on him being stood in front of the defenders, doing that sort of, quick, little bits here and there role. But he seemed like he had more license to do more today, and I thought he relished it, and I thought he played really well. There were some other good performances as well. I thought Lindelof was pretty good. I thought Dalot and Tellez both looked good again. We'll talk a bit about them as we go along. But let's talk about tactics and what we actually saw from the team as a whole. Obviously, Rangnick coming in with this new style, with this new system. He's only had 2 days to try and implement it. Do you think we saw any difference today? Did you notice a difference, Alex?
I think it was I think we were starting to do this the last few games. I think the Chelsea game was different. I think we wanted to do it, but then once they settled in, they were like, we just had to sit back. But we definitely did it against Villarreal. It felt like we did it more against against Arsenal. But it just didn't seem that organised. And I think that what's happened today is what I kind of want. I think we spoke about it before, what we wanted out of it, which is the same intensity we've had the last few weeks, but doing it a little bit better, pushing up in the right places and not looking too easy to get played through. And I felt like they did that today. I thought the other one we'll probably need to talk about as well is our fullbacks. We've essentially changed them completely. Shaw's been out, Wan-Bissaka's been out, and I think they've been very good. I think Tellez has had 2 very, very good games defensively as well as going forward. I think he's always a threat putting crosses in. I think he's a better option there at times. And then I think Dalot, we said this again before the game, if he continues to play like he is these last couple of games, he's better than Wan-Bissaka. I think he's better on the ball, he always has been, but there's always been that question mark over his defending. But he played against Zaha today and didn't give him a lot at all. Zaha didn't really threaten us that much down that left-hand side. So I think at the minute, Dalot is... It's going to be very hard to take him out of the team at the minute. Very hard to take him out of the team. It's going to be a struggle for Wan-Bissaka to get back in there. Yeah,
a lot of sort of personnel questions, I think, isn't there, going forward? But what did you make of, especially for me, that first half? I thought was excellent. We made loads of chances, or sort of getting the ball in the box, consistently. I think we won the ball back in the opposition third 5 times more than we have done all season in a game, 12 times, whereas the most had been 7 before that. So obviously that pressing was there. Bruno said, he said there about the pressing, he said, I think it depends on the game. Sometimes you have to press more, sometimes less, but everyone knows the manager wants more pressing from us, which obviously we knew going forward, but that's clearly something that's been put across in these last couple of days. Did you see a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was, and of course we can be forgiven for looking for him because it's his first game. Everyone's keeping a close eye on whether they can see any difference. He's had one session with him. He's been able to talk to him. And I think he has implemented slightly something a little bit different, because the way we were pressing, I know we've pressed a bit most of the time, a bit this season, should I say. Arsenal played through it. But today, I think we almost overwhelmed Palace to a point with the pressing, where they were forced. They must have made something like 15 to 20 misplaced passes in the first half.
Yeah.
The amount of... it was almost like animalistic how they were just going round, Fred especially, and I think it was his best ever game as a United player.
Wow, big shout.
Big shout.
You've seen it from the stats. The stats were mental for him as well. But I think we have seen it as well. We were looking for him, but I still think a lot more is going to come from that. Well, of course, but you know what I mean. Like, there was a little flavour of what he's been doing there, and long may it continue, because we've got a clean sheet. We had a Fred masterclass, and we looked. If we can take the chances, we look like we'll be in good stead there.
I think the one criticism today, is probably the forwards. I think that Ronaldo didn't really get into the game too much. I think he did a good work pressing wise. Rashford, I think, had a pretty poor game again, which is starting to become a bit worrying.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Sancho. Sancho was... I felt it was harsh to take him off, but I think maybe he was only ever going to do an hour today. Same with Elanga coming on, and with Greenwood. They were all a bit poor, but that... Again, it's not relying on them to have to do something. It's not like we're not trying to isolate. Like before, it felt like we were always trying to isolate have them as isolated out there and go past players. Didn't seem that was the option. And also, by having players like Delo and Tellez, there's always more, there's always that cut back and cross kind of thing for them to do.
And there's more space to stretch the pitch as well, because they've got those keeping their width. We've got a few members to get through. VJ Kumar Pandey, welcome to the Academy. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. John F., welcome to the first team. And we've also got Chris Hardy, welcome to the Academy. Tim Sim says, we'll be interested in what Rangnick will do tactics-wise with the transfer window for the second half of the Premier League and the round of 16 in the Champions League. Yeah, he's already kind of not nullified, but just talked down about, it's hard to get people in January, the same stuff we hear from most managers. So I would expect it's going to be relatively quiet. Gunnar Eriksson, welcome to the first team. And Surish says, solid performance from our defence. Maguire looked decent as well. Yeah, he's been good. He was very good against Arsenal, I thought, Maguire. Ronaldo and Rashford were sloppy, like you said. Dalot, man of the match. Donny must start next. Over McTominay, presumably, you would mean that.
See, I don't think that... I think you might see Donny more in this system, but I think it's more likely going to be Bruno that misses out than it is change out Fred and McTominay. I think that Fred and McTominay are going to be there, or it's going to be Fred and Matic if it's at times or whatever it would be. But I don't think you're going to see... I still don't see you doing Donny and Fred as a pairing. I still don't think it quite has the balance to it. So I think that you might see more of Donny van der Beek, but I think it might be with Bruno sitting out or something like that, or even with Rashford and then them playing, because it wasn't really playing 4-2-3-1 today. I think it was more 4-2-2-2 that I think is the way it was. So it might be the case of Rashford misses out or Bruno misses out rather than it is anyone further back. Yet to be seen, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think we've seen from today that Fred seems to understand and naturally lean towards the style of play that Rangnick wants, which is something we kind of predicted. Obviously, it's only the first game. Who knows whether he'll have the quality and the consistency to do it long term, but I think he looked excellent today. And he looked good in a way where normally when Fred, like I said, when Fred's good, it's shepherding in front of the 18-yard box in games where we are on the back foot. PSG springs to mind. He's had some great games against City as well, where they're having all the ball and he can just sort of get in there and disrupt things. He looked like a proactively good footballer today. And obviously his passing's never going to be great, and his vision and his decision making in the final third is never going to be excellent because he just isn't. But he looked composed. He looked like he knew what he was doing. He was pressing high. He was covering, the whole pitch.
I think
and I thought
everyone
that's what was so good. It was a front foot impressive performance from Fred, which we haven't seen that much.
I think everyone looked like they knew what we were doing today, which is good to see. I think that's one of the. Again, that's been the criticism of United so far, and I think that's the first thing you've noticed, and that's the first thing we've seen. I think they have done well with that so far, so it is good. And that table, again, looks a little bit better now.
Only
just
3 points off top 4.
Yeah, it's bad that we're talking about it's going to be a battle for top 4. I'm hoping we've seen that run of fixtures we've got, which is you can't say easy.
It's favourable, isn't it? It's favourable.
Yeah.
But I think by the end of that, we need to not be saying we should be in a position where it's not a conversation about top 4 anymore. It's if anyone above that top 3 drop points, can we catch them? We're not going to win the league. I'm not saying we're going to catch that, but if someone of those 3 has a slump, Chelsea have kind of dropped points the last 2 games. Liverpool will do it when they lose Salah and Mane. They have to. They've not got the players to keep up that. If it is for an extended period of time, can we get to that point? Because that's the question we need to be having.
You talked there about that favourable run of fixtures. Just for anyone who doesn't know, here's what the next sequence is for United. Young boys, dead rubber, obviously. We're already through. We're already first. We can't, that's not going anywhere. Then it's Norwich, Brentford, Brighton, Newcastle, Burnley, Wolves, Villa, West Ham. Obviously, that's not an easy game, but in the grand scheme of things. Then it's Burnley, Southampton, Leeds, Watford. That takes us all the way up till the 5th of March, which is the Man City game. Then it's City, Tottenham, Liverpool, Leicester, Everton, which is a horrific run. So a relatively favourable run for the next two and a bit months for United. So we need to be comfortably in the top 4 by the time that City, the Tottenham, the Everton, the Liverpool games.
That was always going to be how our season was going to be because the fixtures have been a bit harsh to us, and you can't blame that for what we're doing and all that kind of stuff. You can't blame that for our run of performances. But our season was always going to be go on a run, have a very tough set of fixtures, need to go on another run, and then it's going to be the same again where you're going to play most of the top 6 within a month and a half, really, isn't it? That's going to be how it kind of plays out. And we were hoping that conversation was get to that point and then you winning these games to challenge for the title. But now we need to get to that point where we're not even thinking about the top 4. It would need we need to be out of the question of all that whilst this happens. And look, we could win all them and still. If Spurs go on a run, they've looked like they're a little bit better now under Conte.
Yeah. I mean,
West Ham have looked very good still,
today, but they still won 3-0.
West Ham still look good, so they may not drop that many points, but we need to be looking up rather than behind us by the end of that.
Clayton saying big result should have been more hard earned, but easy passes stringing them together has been a problem for 18 months. What do you think this is down to? I think it's just the quality of the people making the passes. Fergal McClements, lads, can't believe you went for title Fred Redemption and not Fredemption. I think it was more of a play on Red Dead Redemption, I think, rather than a straight up pun. We've read that one out, I think, already. And Sam Peacham says Dalot has been amazing today. Yeah, he was good, and we talked a bit about him. But what do you think of this sort of fullback conundrum? Shaw not been great this season. Wan-Bissaka not been great this season. Dalot and Tellers have come in, and not for the first time. But this is, for me, is the first time where they've come in and gone, actually, we're playing really well now. Yeah. Whereas before, they've had chances here or there. The Villarreal game, they were both poor. I think it was just maybe Tellers that came on and Brandon Williams, wasn't it, against AC Milan last season, where we were just torn apart over and over and over again as soon as they came on. But this time, they've both come in. They've both looked very good, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, Dalot was absolutely fantastic today. Yeah. Distribution. Zaha did get in behind him a couple of times, but I think that defensive knowledge will come as the months go on, especially with, I think, how solid we're going to be under Rangnick. We saw today, we kept a clean sheet at Old Trafford. I don't know the last time we did it, to be honest. Was it Newcastle, I think? First game of the season?
We conceded against Newcastle.
It was 4-1.
Oh, it's 4-1. Right, and so I can't remember the last time we had a clean sheet at Old Trafford.
I don't think we've had
I'll
one
have a
this
look while you
season.
talk.
Yeah, and
April was our first clean sheet at Old Trafford. It was our last clean sheet at Old Trafford.
Jesus.
But that very long time. It's quite worrying. But
April.
Dalot was great. He attacking. He looked a constant threat on the right. Same with Tellez. And I do think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going to now struggle to get his place back in that side if he can still kick on from the football that he's playing under Rangnick right now. Yeah. Shaw he's a different player to what he was last season. And
I
don't know what. And he's been unlucky with injuries, obviously, the concussion that he's out with right now.
Yeah.
But he just looks a shadow of a player. And we've seen what Rangnick said about him a couple of years ago. He's not exactly a big fan of Shaw. So we could see a lot more of Alex Telles, even when Shaw's fit.
The worry with that, and again, this is the whole thing about changing managers and stuff and what this will do, is that does that mean that we need to we're now looking at a left back again? Because this is the whole thing about you changing managers, and Ollie was like, Luke Shaw's my man, and Telles is a good backup, and that'll probably be me for forever.
Yeah.
Rangnick comes in, Telles play well for a few games, but maybe he goes, you know what, he's not quite good enough still, and I don't like Luke Shaw. Yeah. And now we're looking at spending on a left back, and this is the thing we're going to have to look at now. Is that now another position we're going to need to strengthen in the coming years? Right back as well. Is that a priority over someone else? Does Laird come in straight away and do that? There's all these different questions now that maybe the midfield isn't. We definitely need a midfielder in there, but it's not. That's our priority. There might be other areas that Rangnick seems that I need that instead.
61% possession today for United as well. 16 shots. 3 on target, only 2 shots on target for Palace, and they were both in the first half. But they did have that one massive chance, didn't they, that Ayew had inside the 6-yard box. Basically, if he hits the back post, it's a goal, and he pulls it wide. Other than that, did you feel as though United were a bit more defensively sound today? And also, how can we look so different already in 2 days? I don't quite understand it, because we did control the game much more, especially that first half. I thought were excellent. That was the one real chance that they had, Palace. How has that happened in 2 days?
It's amazing how just, sorting that pressing out a little bit further up the pitch and just doing that and letting the players that are good ball winners do what they do has made a massive difference straight away. And not, again, we've pressed in the past, but I think that when it's kind of gone bad, we've reverted very quickly to let's just sit in and do that. And I think today you've just we've kept pressing. If we lose the ball, keep going, keep doing that. It is a big turnaround in a few days. Now, Crystal Palace, I don't think are the best team, but they beat Man City not too long ago, kind of thing. So they're a decent team. Vieira's had some good results so far this season. So we did nullify them really well. They didn't control the game at all, and that is considering how everyone goes on about our personnel in midfield, and because Kouyaté, Gallagher is a good midfield kind of thing, and Schlupp's not a bad midfield.
Yeah.
We've dominated them in there today, and they've not really been able to get a foothold on the ball. Their only kind of chance that they have was they started going more direct. They started doing all those things. So, look, I think it's a good job so far, and I'm excited to see, probably not Tuesday, because again, I think it'll be a big rotation, but what things are like at Norwich next weekend.
Yeah, and I think that whilst those first 30 minutes were excellent, I thought the second half was decent.
Yeah.
We again, individual brilliance got us the win in the end from Fred. I mean, it did, didn't it? We didn't carve them open in the second half.
After you saying individual brilliance got us the win, that it would be Fred.
But again, I
have
have no problem with individual brilliance. I think that's why you buy individually brilliant players, because you know that they're capable of that sort of thing. Didn't necessarily think Fred was capable of that, but I'm glad that he was on this occasion. But I think it's important to get a win in that first game. Important to get off on the right foot, because that takes the mood from here, which is excitement and already good, to here, which is, and we can win as well. And I think Rangnick said, didn't he, in his press conference, he was saying of how it's implement it game by game, but we need to win games along the way, and that's what they've done.
We kind of said that before the game, where we've kind of gone, oh yeah, it'd be great, there might be mistakes today and all this, but at this moment in time, we're that many points behind the top four, and we are that many points behind the top, we can't afford to lose any of these games. And for as much as this run of fixtures is probably favourable now, and we should do well, and we should win these games and hopefully be there, you have to go out and do it now. And for as much as today's been great, it's still a bit worrying that if we don't get it right in them games, you're putting a lot of pressure on the end of the season and a lot of pressure in March when we've got that horrendous run of games.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right, thank you to everyone at home for joining us. That has been the post-match review. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Who was your man of the match? Were you excited by what we saw, especially in that first half? Is there already a bit of a change at Manchester United? It's going to come incrementally, Well, that was a decent win today, wasn't it, Jordan?
It was fantastic.
Decent stuff indeed. Thank you to Alex. Thank you, Jordan. If you aren't already, make sure you do become a member. We've got a couple who have just joined. That's the Unknown One and Patrick Walker. 6 months in the first team, Patrick. Thank you very much. We are giving away a PlayStation. We're giving away a Manscaped box. We're giving away tours of Old Trafford. We're giving away merch. We're giving away posters. We're giving away books. We've got 12 gifts to give away for the 12 days of Christmas, starting on the 26th of December. And all you have to do to be entered for every single prize draw is click the membership button. Click the join button on the channel or click the link in the comments if you are watching live. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you to Fred for putting in a brilliant performance and capturing a win on Ralph Rangnick's first game in charge of Manchester United. Great start. More to come, hopefully. We'll see you in a bit.